I don't know. I think also I've been recently finding myself more and more dissatisfied with the status quo of things. Not like on a more so on a personal level, I would say. Like there's games that I own that I would probably like that I haven't played because it's like, I don't care. Like I could probably become obsessed with them for like a week and then grind them out and get 100%. It's like, where the hell is this thing? It's like around here, isn't it? Man, now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, upset with the status quo. It's like, there's, you know, yeah, I got games I could play, and I probably enjoy them a lot. But it's like, I don't care. There's, like, certainly some TV shows and movies I could watch, but I don't care. Like, I do, but, like, it's not super fulfilling. You know, I'm in my, like, yearly musical lull. I hit this around May, like, every year. I think because it's, like, right when the seasonal depression wears out. When I've been listening to a lot of music before that, like, during that period. So it's like, well, I don't know what the fuck to listen to now. Besides, like, listening to my liked playlist on shuffle. And so I just kept thinking back to Minecraft and shit. In spite of the horrid fucking movie. I don't know. The movie was something. I didn't like the movie. But it feels like to go online and trash it is to a certain degree, what's the phrase? Yick someone's yum? And it's like, there's no point. I think the no point thing has also been coming into a lot of my reasoning. Because I'm getting on this, like, very... Dog, I cannot find this fucking thing. I've just been walking around in a circle for, like, 20 minutes. I've been finding myself getting caught in the, like... I want to describe it as postmodern, but I don't know if that's the correct term, necessarily. Of just, like, essentially overthinking the art. Because, like, at the end of the day, whether you want to call it slop or not, this is still... The process of making a YouTube video is still some kind of art form. I won't argue that it... How the... Dude, come on. I won't... Oh, hi, Bones. I thought you were a villager. I won't... Like, I call it slop a lot. I think it is slop to some degree. But I kind of feel like... yeah, I hear you, Bones. I kind of feel like... I don't know. It is still an art form. To some degree. You're still being creative and still making some piece of media. And so more recently, I've been finding myself getting caught in the mental trap of like, okay, well, what's the point of what I want to make? What's the point of these things that I'm thinking of making? What's the point of making them? Like, is it just to yick someone's yum? Most times, no. Luckily, which has been almost refreshing. Because I've found myself concerned of doing that, since I certainly don't want to turn into someone like Asmongold. Okay, come on, guys. But it's like, it almost feels like I find myself, I don't know, I'm struggling to like, what's the point of making these things? What's the point of the Jake Knight show? I don't know. The first one was made to like air a grievance functionally. To be a depiction of how something could have been made better. Because I was dissatisfied with the late night show that I was working on. Am working on. And I felt it fell... It was frequently not as good as it could have been. Through... unintentionally or intentionally. I don't know. And so I was dissatisfied and upset with that. And so I made the Jake Knight show to be like a parody of it in a way. But then I also admittedly realized that some aspects of it were harder than I anticipated. And I then completely like change the style in a way that was able to maintain some senses of my original criticism while also still trying to make it its own piece of media that was like something in and of itself. So like that's the point of the first Jake Knight show. The second Jake Knight show was then because I had an idea about doing the Muppets thing, or I got it from that Twitter user, and then I felt like, oh, I can say some stuff about the Trump tariffs and shit. But then that's like it. And so then from there it was building out further of like, okay, well, you know, what did I do for the previous Jake Knight show? Well, I had a guest, had a monologue, I had another segment, but I don't have ideas for the other segment and stuff. That's why, like, one of the things I didn't like as much about the second Jake Knight show is because it was more, there's certainly a lot more aspects of it that were made for humor, I guess, is the correct way to put it. They were made to fill time to be entertaining rather than the first one, which was more of like pure ideas and pure like, I want to do these things. This was more like to match the formula, which in the end, I think made for a worse product. You know, and it's like, I think that's fine at the end of the day. I think it was good enough. I think I didn't want to keep waiting around until I had some like burst of energy and motivation for what would be a better thing to do instead. But, you know, I think like the Dylan interview is, well, the Dylan interview is like the one exception to the whole thing. The Dylan interview is like explicitly made to be kind of self-reflective. Whereas like that's kind of the only thing explicitly made for that purpose as part of the Jake Knight show. Which is part of the reason I really like the first one, was because a lot of it was made to be that through a completely different style. And, you know, a lot of the other elements of the second Jake Knight show still had a lot of those reflective stuff. Like, I made it a point, at some point I was thinking to myself that everything in the second Jake Knight show has at least 2 meanings to it. Perhaps 3. Now that I'm thinking back on it, I don't know if that's applicable across the board or just like 80% of the board. But it's like the Asmongold thing, for example. Or no, I'll use the Dylan example. Like, obviously, that's like, it's an interview with a dragon. That's part of it. Part of the humor comes from the fact that it's this puppet that's saying he's a depressed dragon. That's like first meaning. Check. Sure. Simple. First meaning. Second meaning is the, like, it's very clearly meant to be, like, not necessarily the views of myself. That's not the explicit intent, is it to be seen as a reflection of my own views. However, it is a reflection of my own views. Like, all those questions from Dylan and the kind of self-existential crises were like, I just, on the subway, just babbled on a Google Doc. And like, that was that. It was practically speaking from the heart. I mean, you can see it. I try to make it general enough. And like, not too specific. But I think it's pretty obvious that it is just like a direct line from my thoughts. I don't know. I think then while I was writing it, if you want to say there's a third meaning to that, one of the things we learned in my media criticism class, it was like one of the first things we talked about, is essentially the idea of like, okay, whether or not a meaning is intentional in media, like, it can still exist. Like, you can, I saw a rephrase on Twitter in an interesting way that like, okay, all art may not be made to be political, but it still has political meaning to it. Like, it may have not had political intent, but it still exists politically, and that it has meanings behind it. It's because I saw a lot of conversation about this over, what was it, like Cyberspark or Shafrillas or whatever. One of those people goes at 4. So for media, like, okay, even though the creator of a film may only see it as like, oh, this was the only intended meaning, that doesn't mean there doesn't exist another meaning in that. Like, part of the meaning comes from one's own interpretation of a piece of media. So then, like, okay, and like, you can create your own meaning a lot of the times from art that you perceive. It's like, to a certain degree, taking authorship away from the artist. But like, that's just an inherent part of consuming media. But so in that same idea, if you then, you know, like, that was, at least at the time, all I was intending that I can think of for the Dylan interview. But it's like, you want to add those additional levels. You want to say there's even more meaning. Okay, well, you can easily glean that, like, one thing I kind of just naturally stumbled upon while writing, this music's very inspirational while I'm talking about pretending to be a depressed dragon puppet. One of the things I kind of naturally stumbled upon in writing the Dylan script was the thing of, like, becoming a puppet to the establishment. Or like a puppet to the status quo, to the system that hates me as much as I hate it. And it's like, that was just something that kind of like naturally worked out. But if you want to say like, oh, well, maybe I was deeper thinking that. Okay, maybe. If you want to use a generous perspective, then sure, I'll take the additional credit. But like, certainly the argument can be made that, like, that's just how it turned out. Was just that, yeah, an additional meaning here is further exemplification of the discomfort and the kind of lack of autonomy in the system that exists because of the fact that, like, Dylan himself, while he's struggling to think about where he is in society, is like still ultimately a puppet. And I also didn't want to do, I considered doing like, not quite a fourth wall break, but like similar to what Bo Burnham did with the That's How the World Works puppet, where like you have a direct moment of the puppet kind of forced to being acknowledged that he is a puppet and like talking about that. I thought about that and I almost did that. I don't know why I chose against it. I'm kind of happy I did. For one, just to not play too much into the one-to-one similarities with Bo Burnham, but also to like, I think it's better to have it purely exist as like, this is an individual rather than a prop for a media play. Where are the damn dogs? But so like, there were deeper intended meanings. Like, as I said with Dylan, you can pick apart those things that he said and directly apply it to things in my life. Was it intended to be a representation of purely solely me? No. Was it meant to be a representation of the ideas held by me? Yes. It's like the Asmongold one, in addition, for example, was, you know, partially just to be a criticism, satire in a way of Asmongold, of the fact that, like, you know, his Twitch chat, ooh, that's bad news. Okay, phew. Let me go back to bed. Like, part of that obviously is meant to be a critique of like Asmongold and those other right-wing influencers. Like, you can very clearly see it, or in my mind clearly see it, in both the... I tried to do the cadence, but I don't honestly watch him that much, and I couldn't force myself to do that to myself. But like, some of the things I said about like a rat in the room, or some cockroaches, or I mentioned fucking with my teeth and them bleeding, like those are all direct Asmongold things. I also intended for like, I like came up with the idea for what to say like right beforehand, I think. Like, I knew I was going to be critical of the lead guitarist and nicer on the bassist, because that was part of the goal, but also just like naturally that's how the song was. Like, I had that in mind, but then like the flip-flopping on Wallace, on like, I don't know, I guess in a way, in a sense, objectifying Wallace, But so like that was part of it, was to just do that like criticism of Asmongold, because also there was some developer I saw online who was saying how like they had a game trailer that was watched by Asmongold, and like his chat were unsure of whether or not they should be calling it DEI or like based, because it was like women as the main characters, and so of course that's like, oh, woke representation, whatever. But then it was also I guess like attractive women, and so, and also these are people who hyperfixate over like anime and shit, whatever. And so like an Eastern fetishization, and so like that's why, you know, I had that flip-flopping on Wallace. And I also in the moment couldn't think of any like solid, I don't know, I guess it's not completely objectifying her to, no, I guess it is in a way, to just call her a smoke show. But it's like, I didn't know what to say for that. That was spur of the moment, because I did that all in one take. In the first take. And so it was like, I don't know. I just, you can see me sputtering around for a word and just calling her a smoke show, which was just like outdated term. That was the goal. Homie. Jesus Christ. Greedy bastard. But like, so there was that. There was also, if you want to extract meaning behind the song choice, you can. It was just, it's largely just been music that I find myself connecting to a lot that are in the given week that I feel like would function well as a finale song. The music choice, you can assign whatever meaning you want to that. That's like whatever. The music for the first Jake Knight show was a lot more intentional than this one, because of course it's Curtains to Close is a song that I like a lot from The Jester. And I think it's also mentally was very, or like its tone was something akin to what I was looking for. And so like, yeah. And also the fact that it's just like talking about the end of the show, but also like doing whatever is necessary in order to like become successful in the eyes of the machine. Funeral, that was just more of like, I don't know. I don't know what made me decide to do it. It's a song I've liked for a while. I think if anything, I thought more, oh, I wanted to go back to get the, get so damn distracted in Minecraft. I had planned out that joke for the Elton John one more so than the specific song I was going to go to next. And that was something that was just like, that kind of also naturally came into place, and that was like, okay, well, I'm ending with Dylan. I want to end with a joke. I liked the Baker Act joke ending, because it's like, I want to, in a way, play more into those like suicidal themes. And so then how do I go off of that? Well, you know, a joke you can make off of that is to then be like, oh, okay, that's a lot. Anyway, here's even more. That's like the obvious one. So that's what I went with. I bones. But so the funeral song, that was just, yeah, it just shows that, whatever. Again, you want to read a deeper meaning into the fact that it's funeral and talking about death, you can. It wasn't intended. But then on top of that, like the criticism of the guitarist over the bassist, of course that part's natural to the song, because at least this is the way I built the chords for the charts. It was that like the lead guitarist has a much more advanced section, faster section that was just a lot. It's still hard to do. Like, I still struggle with that one. Even though I made it, it is still quick and a lot of different buttons and shit. Probably more overcomplicated than it actually would be in reality, but nevertheless, like, I think more rewarding as a result. Still difficult though, very difficult. But so then part of the goal behind that was to like And in comparison to the bassist, who has a relatively lighter track, the goal behind that was to then more show, like, not quite a feeling of double standards, but like, you know, almost like the guitarist has a harder thing to do, but a more impressive thing to do. And to then to like just be like, oh, fucking idiot, can't do it. It's like, well, you're judging him off of a basic metric in a way. Or it's like he has an explicitly harder. I don't know if that's the right usage of that word. Like a definitely harder thing to do. So to then criticize him off of, in comparison to the less hard thing to do, is, you know, I mean, for the Asmongold in particular, it's disingenuous. For the greater societal question, you know, it's just like misinformed. I think also the bit at the very end, when I got a new high score on the track, that was actually just spur of the moment in the recording. I would think that's obvious, but I mean, I don't know. People have both over-examined and, or have, over expected and under expected how much thought I put into it. Like that was just pure because of what happened in the game. I just did get a new high score. And so then like the rest of the track was kind of thinking about a way to properly utilize that if I wanted to utilize that. So that's like a pseudo genuine reaction, I guess. Because I was shocked about getting a new high score. Because I did do that like ass. But also that section's very hard. So, you know. And then, I mean, the Jake Kessler thing. The name is meant to be, what is it? Who's the fucking, like, guy for, like, CNBC or MSNBC or some fucking stocks news station? Who's like, it's something Kramer. He's, like, always wrong. Or he's known for being always wrong. And he, like, talks in that kind of nasally, high-pitched voice. So, like, that was the idea for that. I admittedly don't know much about him. But that was, like, who I was loosely basing it off of. So then Kessler was, because I think his name is, like, Scott Kramer or something. Oh, shit, that was a trial room? That's crazy. But his name is, like, Scott Kramer, I think. I still need lava. His name is, like, Scott Kramer. But so the Kessler name, that was then something from... Because his name is Kramer. So I wanted the same Jake, right? Because it's the Jake Night Show. I wanted it to be constantly a conversation with myself. If anything, I kind of have mixed feelings on the fact that I chose the different facial hair. Because then it almost, like, makes it into more of a character. And, like, I think it would have been perhaps separately funny to just have it be, like, just exactly me. It's like, here's Jake Stalvey for more about the tariffs. Hi. Hi again. Of course, the joke in there of, like, the Zoom delay is just, or, like, the conference delay is just meant to be, like, one at, like, how normal news stations, it's like, Bob, how are you doing? And there's, like, 3 seconds of awkwardness and delay. It's like, I'm doing well. And it's ultimately because it's, like, I assume it's something to do with the fact that, you know, the person from the studio is the one queuing the person in. Then you have the inherent delay that would occur as a result of, you know, oh, that's bad. Alright, well, we're gonna go back up. The inherent delay that would occur as a result of, you know, telecommunication. As a result of a phone call. A video call. And because of the fact that it's, you know, likely the news station itself that they're broadcasting from that is doing the, like, how are you doing, dead? Like the queuing up, then means that there's, of course, going to be a delay when they cut to the other person, because that's where they're broadcasting from. Nevertheless. So I wanted to keep the first name Jake. The joke, of course, is that the last name, because his name is Kramer. I then went to Seinfeld, and I don't know why I didn't just make his name Kramer. I guess I felt it would have been too on the nose. But I went and found, because Kramer in Seinfeld's name wasn't originally Kramer. It was, I always thought it was like Karawatts or something, but I guess it was Kessler originally. So I found that on like the Seinfeld wiki. And it's like, you only see it in like 2 episodes of Seinfeld. It's in like the pilot, and it's in one episode where they like do time backwards, and then they make a joke about it happening before like the main events of the show. That was the name. Kessler's the bit that I was the least confident in. And that's why I think it's, at least to me, it's clear from the way it's edited. Because at a certain point when I was editing the Kessler bit, I was just like, all right, this is fucking boring. Like, it was fun to record, but then watching it back, there's only so much you can do with it. And so I was like, all right, this is getting boring. And so that's why I just did so much shit with the editing. Because it was just like getting bored. So it's just like adding needless transitions. And so part of that's like, if you want, again, adding meaning where there isn't meaning. I'm lagging in a single player world. Adding meaning where there isn't necessarily, or isn't intended meaning. You could say it's like, oh, you know, fucking, I don't know. You could say something. You know, retention spans, whatever. The truth is, I was just unhappy with it. I was unhappy with the product. So I just wanted to butter it up. Yeah, I fucking hear you, dude. And so that's where the jokes came from. And then from that, it was then just more like, that's where the transitions come from. Oh, what I was going to say is that if you want to ascribe meaning to it where there might have not necessarily been any, you could say that like, oh, it's the filmmaking thing of like a lot of whatever people who are just, there's like a curve, there's a learning curve of like people who, it's like that meme of the person who's really smart and the person who's really dumb going back to the same idea, in that like the person who, like a lot of beginners, myself included, when I was like really young, like of course you start off with video editing and you're just like, all right, cut, basic transitions, whatever. But then you get older and more advanced and you're like, oh, there are options to do other things, other fancy transitions. And then you start doing this shit that George Lucas does, you know, with the circle fades and all that shit. But then it's like that kind of gets tacky to a point, and it begins to, I think, I don't know, you can make differing arguments about it. From my personal subjective opinion, I feel like it then starts to like take you out of the movie. I mean, it's one thing if it's just like a circle blur, circle radial dissolve, whatever, which is like the George Lucas, which is just like, you know, everything slowly fades in around one central point to a different shot. Like, that's one thing. But if it's the shit that like I was doing of like the page peel and all that crap, it's like, that is like, it gets to the point where it takes you out of it. Like, this is just like spamming different editing things over and over just for the sake of looking cool, because you think it looks cool, whereas in reality it takes you out of it. So it's like, you could certainly say that. But then after I had already started and I was already like, you know, being a bit incessant with the transitions and edits and stuff, then it got to more be like, not necessarily a challenge, but more of like a trying to utilize different editing like styles in modern day and different things. And so that's why like the You Got Mail, that was just because I was bored and like wanting to add shit that pops up. And so I was originally going to do like I did the political candidate ad. I had a second political candidate ad. I think I was going to do like a porn ad or something. That I didn't do because I was too lazy to record the voice lines. And yeah, and so that was like just pure, you know, stimuli. But then like with the Minecraft, or not the Minecraft, with the what is it? With the inflection point bit and how it's like top 10 Jake Kessler moments, that's, you know, not the most nuanced or like in-depth critique or spoof or homage, but like it's supposed to be like that of the like Gen Z style humor videos of like the top 10 Minecraft moments, and it's like 10 moments from the Minecraft movie you just played 3 times, and it's crazy and weird. So like there's that, obviously, or at least obvious to me, but I would think obvious to people, unless you don't know that or don't know about them. And then the core stuff, that's, you know, it feels kind of self-explanatory with the core style, but like the core editing style of the like the whatever the fuck that song is called, it's like QWERTY or some shit, forget the name of it. I need lava, but it's like, yeah, that's supposed to be an imitation of the core style, because it's like, you know, the same music, the text on the screen, the kind of somewhat preachy messaging, albeit a much more perhaps bizarre one, because it's saying to go run to the bank and buy gold and do a bank run. But yeah, I don't know. And then that one, if you, again, I'm just like doing nothing but sitting here playing Minecraft, and so if you want to attribute deeper meanings, you could say something like, oh, well, you know, it's also a critique of the kind of commercialized style of, you know, stock market economic speak. You could say that. It's not intentional. You could make that argument. I could make that a 250 page word argument. It's like, it just kind of came with the territory. It's like, I'm not saying this all to be like, oh, I'm such a fucking deep thinker. Because like, a lot of the added meanings, they're not the most depth. It's not like I'm making the damn Lighthouse or Sinners or something. Sinners, which I haven't seen, even though I know I should. You know, talking about race relations and all this deep shit. I'm just making a video of me talking to a camera in my apartment alone. And if you want to add things in ways that those reflect back on culture, you can. But if anything, I felt like that was more... any cultural critique was more present in the first Jake Knight show than the second. But anyway, the whole reason I got to this was talking about the idea of why of making these things. And so for the Jake Knight show, the first one, as I said, was made to be a critique, I guess. Was made to prove a point. If you die from this, then you are an idiot and you're the same pig. No, no, no. No, you're getting pushed off. Such a stupid animal. Yeah, like, I don't know, overthinking what's the point of making things. Like, what am I trying to achieve from making it? What's my point to it? I don't know. Like I said, the first one was making a point. Second one felt more out of obligation, because I felt like the format could be used in that way. And that's kind of the same reason I'm not going to most likely not going to make a third one, even though I do have some ideas for like, because I'm gonna, if I do it, I'm making an effort to change the credits one every time. Like the one in the credits every time, just because I realized for this one it was more of like the second one, it was definitely out of necessity because I was like, I can't do another Q&A bit. Like that one was like, it proved the point that I wanted to make. It made the point that I wanted to make. To do it again would be redundant and boring. So I knew I needed something else. And so then that's why I did the Asmongold thing. I have a bit in mind for what I would do if I were to do it again. Like another end bit. That's not to say I'm going to use it. Because I don't know. I'm just going to kind of wait until it feels like... I don't know. I doubt that I make a third one. I mean, maybe I do, maybe I don't. It's not that big of a deal either way. Like, I don't know. I feel like I've explored that medium. And that was, in a way, the point I was trying to... Or the goal in the first place. In a way. Like, using that medium in a specific way. And I feel like I used it. And there's nothing more I can really do to it. Besides, I don't know. Because I don't know how many fucking fake guests I can come up with either. Oh, I have an idea for another guest, but I don't know how much artistry I could infuse in that. Yo, it's the weird cows. What's that, weird cows? Like, I don't know how much deeper meaning I can do with it. It would purely be something for just, like, spectacle, and I think the bit would wear off pretty quickly. Yo, it's a weird pig. What's up, weird pig? It's also, like, I don't know what I can do for them. The monologue was certainly the hardest part, I discovered. Just because of my very lack of experience in doing anything like it. Even though I use a lot of humor in my stuff, it is incredibly rarely formatted in a setup punchline style. Like, I function a lot better responding to something or in a back and forth. Be mine, be mine, be mine. No, homie. Okay, fine, I'll tame you. No, come back. Asshole. Oh, but so I'll probably not make a third. That's fine. There'll have to be some news or something that I find really demanding of that medium. Because of just, as I was saying, inexperience with the, like, monologue writing and stuff, so that part didn't feel fulfilling. Which is fine. You know, not for everyone. Allowed to try things. So I don't know. So then it's like, okay, well, what idea now? And I have some ideas for other videos. More so all like serious ones. I have an idea for a video that's just like gushing about Avatar: The Last Airbender. But that one I kind of run into the what's the point idea. Because what would be the point? What would my thesis be? I have a video idea about AI that I likely will do. Just because as the months go on, it certainly feels more pressing. Not pressing. Relevant. I had some other idea, but I forgot it. But it's like for streaming. Like, I thought about streaming a lot, but I didn't this semester. Because, like, low-key, what's the point? What's the entertainment value I can provide? I don't know. It didn't feel like much. Nor does it kind of now. This is just as much, if not more, an exercise for commentary as it is content creation. I think it's just getting caught in the loop of what's the point. And that's all there is to it. And the solution to that is to realize that there is no point, not necessarily. That I arguably may not be adding anything to the creator space. But that I still feel some kind of fulfillment out of it, or at least I wish I do. No, I do. And I do feel fulfillment out of it. But I wish that I could make some space for me so that I can get fulfillment and comfort, if that makes sense. I have ideas for other shit. It's just, I'm not in a funny mood, is what I'm realizing. I am quite depressed as of recent. I'm not upbeat. I am not hyper. I am not fueled by much. I'm low. And so that means I make low content. I make things that are critical of other stuff. I make things that aren't necessarily the most original ideas, or rather reformulations or responses to other ideas. Not super fun, but part of life. And I think, like, I think the best thing I could do is realize, oh, I'm in bummer mood. I should make bummer video. Like, I'm kind of doing that. Not fully, but like kinda. Like, lean into it more. You haven't grown once? Are you kidding? Bro, you're on the water. And so I think that's what I'll likely try to do over the summer, because like the AI video is certainly going to be, you know, not miserable, but critical. I had some other critical YouTube video idea I don't remember. Oh, I was thinking of doing one. I don't know if I'll do this. Noah Samson made a video called, what was it? Called, like, the YouTubers that supported a genocide, and he was just talking about YouTubers who, like, were pro-Zionist, or Zionist in their content and stuff in the time since October 7th. And so I had an idea of doing that, but, like, the universities, and using it as an excuse to shit on Emerson. Or not necessarily an excuse. Because I wouldn't be shitting on Emerson for the purposes of shitting on Emerson. If I was doing that, then I wouldn't use it through that avenue. But like as an important issue, and using Emerson as an example of that, but also talking about other schools like fucking, I don't know, like Columbia, NYU, Harvard, where else? UCLA, all these other places that have things going on with them.